Hello and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. Of course, we're going to mention it straight up, boys. As we film right now, of course, when this goes out, we'll know the result. The appeals board is still deliberating on the Cripper decision, so we'll probably find a result out whilst filming. I would imagine it's been a good 40 minutes now, so we'll see what happens there. But of course, we are here to preview the Melbourne clash with or without Cripper this Saturday at 7:25 p.m. with an AFLW curtain raiser, we're allowed to call it that. So get down there early, boys. How are we feeling, Daff?
It's a bit of a weird feeling right now. Like Pato said before we filmed, it's kind of taken the air out of me the last couple of weeks. Just, it was blue skies, and the trip, the long journey was getting to the finals and almost there, and then there was a bit of a roadworks on the freeway to the finals. So but this week it's a big game, another week for two teams that actually need to win, and I think that can be a positive as well because both teams might want to play or probably want to play attacking footy. I imagine Melbourne would want to play attacking fast footy. Obviously, they dropped a game last week to the Pies, which they probably should have won considering the position they were in, and they've got another. I'd say it's a test for them this week. It's not a pushover if we get going, but Jesus Christ, it's got to be a big response this week.
Absolutely, Pato, how you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in between because I know that we were speaking before, and I know that we are definitely capable to beat this side, but it's also if we actually show up. Because I know I was confident last week because I'm like, well, surely they'll have the mindset to play on the edge. Like, surely they actually know that they have to have a crack to get over the Lions. And also, finals is on the line. If you win, you lock yourself in. But we didn't say that last week. So that's why I just feel like this week we just have to just come straight out of the blocks, just go straight away. Have to be hard at the ball, have to take our chances early. I know that last week Zach Fisher missed that goal early. He needs to kick that if he gets another opportunity or another player gets an opportunity. Needs to take it early because especially Melbourne at the G, probably in front of maybe 19 or 20,000 supporters from the Melbourne Football Club. Not too many. Not too many at all. So most likely there will be like 85,000 and then 75% will be Carlton. But I just think we have to take our chances early because obviously Melbourne are a very, very, very capable side.
He's gone early, calling out the Melbourne supporter base this week.
Am I wrong?
Well, you're not wrong. They did win a premiership, so it bumped up a little bit, but you're not wrong. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about the Cripper decision. Obviously, we haven't seen the result, but we'll go into a little bit about the sort of how it actually all happened, how it's unfolding. I'm sure you boys have been following it closely. I did read the 2022 Tribunal's big 30-page document, whatever it is. I read most of that to get my head around it. So obviously, we went to the Tribunal, and then we, of course, lost. It was upheld, and then we've trying to remember it all now. We forked up the 5K to go to the appeals board out of the soft cap, which we will get that money back if Cripper is successful. If it's not, it's 5K out of the soft cap. I mean, it's really
it's pocket money for sayers.
Yeah. It's good. It is good to see him fighting so hard. There's nothing to lose. He can't get 3 weeks. He can't get 4 weeks. And just like on the other side, he can't get 1 week. He gets off or he keeps it 2 weeks. But yeah, I do like the argument from Townsend, I believe, is representing Cripper. Cripper's not there, but the representation is basically saying there's a few different things, but we're saying basically he didn't bump. They're saying they didn't fully say that he did bump, so they're arguing that no direction was given to the jury, as is required by the chairman, who's in charge of the whole appeals board, obviously. But they're also saying, we're saying you can't do 2 acts at once, so you can't bump and go for the ball, whereas they're saying you can bump and still go for the ball at the same time. So they're arguing that the bump was there. We're saying the bump wasn't there. So yeah, we'll see sort of how that unfolds. But anyway, on the D's game, what is your favourite D's memory, Ethan? Of course, your dad is a D's supporter, so I'm sure you've been to pretty much all the clashes, mate. But what's your favourite?
Yeah, so it's actually the Daffy Cup. Every year we get down. I think probably every year of my life. We've been going even when we got pumped by 150 that year in 2018. We were there, unfortunately. But obviously, the way I look at Melbourne is similar to us and how they've progressed as a list. Like the build they have had, obviously we've got the spine and, Wiedering, Cripps, Walsh, then obviously Charlie and Harry up forward, and they've had similar, probably apart from their forward line, which has been a bit mix and match, but they've worked it out well with, Fritsch and Brown and the likes. But just favourite moment. There's probably more early memories, but I think there was one, might have been 2015 or 16. I think Big Cruz did a big cruise on the run. We were terrible, and I think Melbourne were, they were kind of borderline finals, might have been like 10th or 11th, and they had to win to keep their finals hopes alive. And I think we're up like 50 to 60 to like 10 or something. It was weird. And Big Cruz ran past Gorny and just slaughtered one from about 50. The roar of the G went off because we were finally playing good footy. But yeah, that's probably one of the best moments.
Yeah, Pato and I jumped on the Zoom call sort of first and helped him get to that conclusion that was his favourite memory. Pato, what's your memory of that game though, mate?
I just think that was also a little bit of a it was a good game from Cripper. I don't know if that was Cripper's injury. Was that Cripper's injury? No.
Yeah,
it wasn't it? Late
year after where Jaden Hunt, was that the one?
Yeah,
Jaden
maybe
Hunt a goal or something, and then Cripps went to smother and it kicked him and he was out for the year.
That one.
Yeah.
It was either that one, yeah. But so Sid Staffy has said the Cripper because I think that's probably the only Carlton memory that we really know. That really comes to mind. Like there might be a few others, but I'm going to practice game this year, boys. I'm getting hurt. I'm just be like, mate, we are still saying that right now. We beat Melbourne. We are 1-0 against Melbourne. So this year, if we do the exact same thing, of course without Cripper, of course without Hewitt, of course without Kennedy, all these guys, but we got guys like William Stocker playing the midfield that we will touch a little bit later, of course. But I think just that was the first time that we saw really on the TV in front. Well, not really a big stage, but on like a telecast, seeing Carlton play their new style, and of course playing against the past premiers, playing pretty well as well. Like they had a lot of their great players playing, and we absolutely spanked them. So have to be excited about that. So hopefully we can do some sort of the same stuff on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that might be a Baggers chat first, Daff. We've actually got someone that's picked a practice game as their favourite memory. I like it, Pato. I like it a lot. Well, yeah, as Pato mentioned, last time we versed him, 98-93 started this year, and it was just a shock. Although it was a practice game, it was a shock of, I don't know if shock's the right word, but we're a little bit in disbelief just how well we came out. Time before that, 94-68. Time before that, 1 point loss. So
that was
too bad. Not too bad. But yeah, so my favourite would have to be 2015, 16, whenever it was. We will get stuck into teams now. As we record, we just released them in the last few hours. So Durds does come into the 22. Martin remains, so he's all good. So you'd say that the sub would have been pretty, I guess, a tactical sort of one last week. Stock in as well, I think as Paddy just said. Pito in as well. Dow out. I think Bossy might have watched a bit of Baggers chat. And yeah, Dow has been dropped. TDK out as well. It is classed as omitted, I believe. So I'll put that to you. And Setters out as well. Bearing in mind, one of them will come in for Cripps if he doesn't get off. We'll already know that by tomorrow. But what are your thoughts on the changes, Pato?
Yeah, I don't mind a few of them. I think probably out of all of them, I really like Stocker coming in because I expect he to be that midfielder. I don't want him to play half back. I want maybe like a Noons if he's listed on the wing, but I wouldn't mind if he does go back and Stocker gets that midfield role. So I wouldn't mind if he plays in the middle. But I'm not a huge fan of TDK being omitted, in my opinion. Because we saw it at the start of the year. We saw how great Pidernet and TDK were as a duo, and once again, you probably have Pidernet coming back, looking also about who they have. Gorn and Luke Jackson, arguably the best duo in the AFL right now. And when you think about it, you've got Pidernet and Silvani going up against Gorn and Jackson. That is very, very scary to think about. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but everything else, I think it's pretty understandable that downsetters are being omitted.
Absolutely, mate. And just on Cripper, so obviously if he doesn't get up, who do you say setters coming straight back in?
Yeah, I think setters will come in. I don't see Tao coming straight back in. He was just atrocious, wasn't he? So I think Setterfield will probably come back in, especially since they're probably the same sort of player.
Yeah, absolutely. They had the potential to be. I think as we look back a couple of years ago, 2020 was it, when Setters was playing a similar sort of role. Like that inside-outside sort of ability. He's actually sort of big, sort of a relatively big body, and I think he can definitely do better than Dow. Ace, what are your thoughts on the changes, mate? And just on Cripper, obviously, who comes in if he doesn't get up?
Yeah, so for me, I think if Cripper doesn't get up, doesn't, his things doesn't change, his report doesn't change. I think Setters comes in, like Pato said. I think it's just I like Setters in the middle. There's something about him. I think he's probably, well, right now we're a bit light for bigger bodies, and he's probably a bigger body. So compared to a Dow, and especially against Melbourne, who are a kind of fast and tough midfield, it'd be good to have him in there. But for the changes, obviously I like Durden in the side. I thought when he came on the ground against the Lions, he was good. Obviously got nominated for Goal of the Year, which was fantastic. Stocker in, I like it, depending on where he's playing. Obviously, I think we'll back him in if he's down back, but if he's in the middle, it's definitely a good change. And obviously they would have talked about it over the last couple of weeks, knowing that we would have Kennedy and Hewitt out of the side, and now with Cripper, it's getting a bit light, isn't it? But Dow, TDK and Setters dropped. I'm a bit 50-50 on TDK. I just don't think – I thought he was pretty bad against the Crows, and I thought he was pretty bad against the Lions. So I think Pito's a better matchup for Gorn in terms of size. I think he can push him around a bit. And like we touched on before, we filmed I think he'll get predominantly most of the ruck time. Like it'd be like 75%, I reckon, 70%. And obviously Sauce would come in and pinch hit, which he has shown in the most of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Pito will definitely a good 90% of the ruck battles, just because purely like his role's a bit, I want to say easier, but compared to TDK, who's doing all this running around the ground, I'm sure Pito does just as much probably, but I feel like we've mentioned it before, just that old style sort of a ruckman where he should be able to get to a lot more ruck contest. But I didn't mind it too much. I think TDK's obviously had been beat up, to say the least, for a long period of time now. So 13, however many weeks it was. Does that also mean then Pito out last week was purely because he was sick? Like we originally thought, this bloke came back. We didn't probably think he played as well as we were hoping. We thought he's dropped pretty much, and then we heard Rossi say that he was sick, and we believe that, we trust him, and I think to me it does probably further prove that he was sick and he was outmanaged, and if he wasn't out, TDK probably wouldn't have played last week. Daff, is that what you said? The way you see it, or? Yeah,
and I thought TDK was bullied by McInerney, so I think Pito can take probably every ruck in the comp, in my opinion, just due to his size, and especially in that first 5 weeks, he was actually beating most of his opponents up to round 5. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Big Pit getting into Gorny.
Absolutely. Pato, same to you, mate? Or?
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Nothing more to add.
Beautiful. What are our opinions on the day? So obviously, look, we know that they're reigning premiers convincingly against the Bulldogs as well. Are you more confident in their ability at this part of the year than what you were when they were playing sort of, I guess, at Geelong later in the year? Last year they were playing and had that pretty good comeback from memory with Gorn kicking the goal. Was it after the siren or definitely late? What are your opinions on them, and are they the team they were this time last year, Ethan?
Yeah, so obviously, my old man going for the D's, they kind of they are my second team. Simple as that. Obviously, I dislike them a lot when we verse them, but any other week of the season, I enjoy watching them and obviously kind of not support them, but just have a soft spot for them. But like you said, back end of last year, they were superb, and that game, obviously, round 23, pretty much won on the flag because it got them on top. they would have had to verse Port in a qualifying final if he didn't kick that goal. So it's a small margin footy, and why can't Carlton be that small margin at this point of the year? You know, so but for me, I think the D's are just not as good as they were last year. They were very, very good. Obviously, at the back end of last year, just due to their threat up forward. I think Fritsch is still in great form. He's top 10 in the common right now. Ben Brown does his thing here and there. He's been a bit off, but I just don't want to pull a Larky moment and he'll kick 8 on Weeders or something like that. But I think the D's can still win the flag, definitely. I think they've got enough firepower. They've almost got too much firepower right now, and obviously their mids are just a class above most midfields. And obviously, at the start of the year we were talking about our midfield being up there. I think when they're fit, definitely can definitely match up with them. So good side, but not as good as last year.
Beautiful. Pato.
Yeah, fantastic side, aren't they? I know that last year they 100% showed why they were by far the best team in the comp, especially in that final series, like absolutely smashing Geelong. And yes, Western Bulldogs were around them in the grand final, but they just show them how it's done in that second half of the third quarter and fourth quarter. Like that's when premiership teams play their best, and that's the best passion footy, probably the best maybe 30, 40 minutes we've seen arguably ever in the AFL. Like that was unbelievable. And I completely agree about Fritsch stuff. I think that's absolutely spot on. I think he's still underrated to me. I don't think yes, he gets talked about being selfish and stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, like you don't know, because the coaches might actually be saying when you get the ball and you're inside 50, have a ping. So, I mean, a lot of people say, if he misses selfish. I disagree. Of course, he does miss some. And yes, there's been parts when he should have probably arguably passed it off. But, I mean, he's a gun player. And I think that when he moved from the back line into the forward line, that's been a great move from Melbourne. But, I think the big one to me that I'm most worried about is Max Gorn. I hate to say it, but I think he's going to have a big one. And I'm just hoping that maybe Pidernet can maybe stop his impact as much as he can, and just hope that Luke Jackson doesn't really dominate.
Quickly on Fritsch as well. He's kicked 45 goals. So he's actually kicked more goals than Harry Mackay this year. Obviously, probably played more. Harry's Harry's averaging 2.4 and Fritsch is averaging 2.3. So very similar, different forwards, but Fritsch is a very different forward. I'd love him at Carlton. He'd be the third forward with Harry and Charlie. Jesus Christ, that'd be very good. But like Pato said, just quickly, with Gorn, I think we just got to just minimise his impact when he's forward of the ball. We don't want him kicking goals because I think he's very dangerous when he's up forward, and Jackson as well.
Absolutely. I was going to ask who we're most worried about, but is it safe to say it's Gorn?
Yeah.
Both of you?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Do you think he comes in, because he came back from that injury, didn't he, or whatever it was recently? And I think he took not a little while, but like a few games to get into it. But I do think he's sort of, he's back to that Gorn best now, or certainly a lot closer to it. We'll get stuck into, I guess, the injury news as well. Just sort of what we've heard from the club. Kind of is returning to skills training. So I still think he's decently a few weeks away. So you'd assume he depends how well we go. You'd assume he doesn't play this year. Hewitt, hopefully finals if we make it. Otherwise, again, may not see him until next year. Honey should be next week, as well as Bam Bam, and then Boyd finals if we make it, is what I'm hearing. But yeah, we'll get into the key matchups with Ethan.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the 22 side that's listed here on the AFL, and I'll just pick apart different key matchups, because me personally, I think it's exciting because there's some great matchups around the ground. And first of all, I'll look up forward for us, and obviously they have two key pillars down there in Jake Lever and Stephen May. And might I add, though, Harrison Petty, he's an absolute superstar. I think he's underrated. Very, very good defender. I'd love him at Carlton. He'd be perfect next to Waring. He's been underrated. I watch most of these games, and he's probably their best in terms of, obviously May's great one-on-one, but I just think he's that kind of just natural defender, stays down, does his thing, beats his opponents most weeks, and obviously he's a premiership player. So, but obviously Stephen May and Lever are the kind of in the spotlight against Harry and Charlie. How do you reckon Charlie and Harry go, Pato? Because Jesus Christ, they both need a big one, especially Harry Mackay.
Yeah, I'm very, very nervous because I think there's no bigger test in AFL right now and coming up against May and Lever, and also to add in Petty, like terrific backline. So yeah, I think it's kind of like, I don't know why, but I mean, there's been some speculation on Harry Mackay the past few months saying like, yeah, no, he's not up to it. He's a little bit overrated. He comes out and kicks maybe 4 or 5. I mean, it proves himself. So I don't know. Obviously I'm nervous, very nervous. But yeah, I think May will probably go straight to Harry. Petty will probably start on Kerner, and Lever will probably just be that intercept back.
Yeah. Sammy, what are your thoughts on Harry and Charlie? How do you reckon they'll go?
Yeah, I've got a question I'll put forward to you guys in just a minute as well, just on Harry. But yeah, Charlie's had a great year. Obviously, looks like he's going to win the Coleman, which is great. But from a broader team perspective, Charlie's been playing well. Harry, I think he's just, I don't know, the delivery hasn't been great, but then Charlie's still kicking goals, so we can't always just put it down to that. I think Harry's looked a bit, I don't know, like he's sort of getting his hands there, but he's not flopping for free kicks, and I don't want to say that sounds horrible, but he's not clunking them big marks like he was. I think as soon as he came back from that injury, he was sort of crashing packs at 1,000,000 miles an hour, taking big marks, but that's sort of retracted a bit. And against the D's, sort of backline's going to be tricky. Yeah, I think they can go all right. I think Charlie would, probably be the shining light out of the two, but I think Harry needs to definitely step up, in my opinion.
Yep, well said, Sammy. Obviously, up forward will be tough. And for me personally, you look at that, back six for Melbourne, and obviously they have a few guys rotating into the middle with Jordan and Sparrow and Trent Rivers, who I think is good when he's on. I think it's a big game for Silvani, Fisher, Owies, obviously Durden back inside. So probably need some more goals out of them, to be honest with you, also, which will help us get over the line. But now we'll move into the midfield. We'll start off with the two big boys in Max Gorn and Mark Pidernet. I think Pito's been pretty good against Gorn, to be honest with you, especially in the preseason. In the last few years, he's always had, just a bit of body on him, and Gorn's probably found it hard to kind of, not bully him, but, just have that control over him. How do you reckon Pito will go against probably the best ruckman in the comp, Pato?
I do have to be honest, I wouldn't mind him probably playing maybe last week just so he could maybe get another practice game. Well, not a practice game, but just another game under his belt. Because if we brought him back in, yes, he was sick last week, if he was sick, but if he was available last week, I really wanted him to play, because to put him back into the side without TDK there, to come up against, in my opinion, the best ruckman in the comp, very, very tough task, but I think he's up to it. I think, of course, there's some stuff that I'm a little bit worried about just because he doesn't have that match experience, AFL experience, but I'm quite excited for it, because I don't know why, but Pidernet kind of thrives under about 85,000 at the G Saturday night. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I wouldn't mind Pidernet maybe getting down forward and kicking 10.
Yeah, well, I agree. I've got a bit of, well, not 10. I don't agree with that part, but for what you previously said about, him thriving under pressure in a big moment, I feel round one was perfect. He absolutely gave Toby Nankervis a bath in front of 80,000, and obviously a big pressure game for a football club, and got over the line. Why can't he do it this week against the Gornmeister? But Sammy, how do you reckon the big Brad Pidernet will go, mate?
Just on that, Pato, you said 85,000 people this is a Melbourne game this week, not the Collingwood game, especially after your comments of Melbourne having 2,000 supporters or whatever. So I don't think we're getting 83,000 there. I don't know. Just I would have liked Pito to have played last week. Obviously, it would have been a lot better. Because you look at his VFL game. Yes, he had 6 million hit outs. He didn't really play against a recognised ruck in the GWS game, I think it was. So they just literally had no ruck, essentially. So yeah, it'd be good to see how he goes. Gorn is obviously a premiership champion, but see how it goes. But I don't know. I think you can definitely rough him up. He's a big boy. But yeah, I think Gorn's probably got him for most other aspects, I would have thought.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm going to change it up here. I'm going to move. I'll move away from the the middle, and I'm going to push out to the wings because I rate this winger from the Melbourne Football Club, Ed Langdon. Obviously, he talked a bit of talk last week before the Collingwood game. We love that against those bastards. But Lockie O'Brien against Ed Langdon. It's interesting because I think Langdon and O'Brien can be very similar. Obviously, I think O'Brien's probably better by foot. Langdon's more that, up and down, really, really good, just work rate. Obviously, I don't think he goes off in games and stuff like that. So, Pato, how do you reckon your boy LOB will go against probably arguably one of the best wingers in the league?
Yeah, I think running wise, I think Langdon I don't know. I feel like, definitely Langdon has him covered, but it's not like he's so far ahead. Like O'Brien runs well. Like he runs really well. So, I think skill-wise he's better, O'Brien. So I think he's a little bit better skill-wise, especially ball used by foot. I just rate his kicking so much. So I'm really glad that he's actually been able to play a lot of games this season in that wing position. But yeah, as you said, I am a little bit nervous because Langdon is just he's a guy that doesn't stop running. Like I went to the game last week, Melbourne Collingwood, ripper of a game. Like that crowd was sensational. But I was watching him running and I'm like, because in the final quarter when he was kind of both teams were scoring a lot, he did not stop running. And I'm like, fuck me, man. Like this guy's an absolute machine. So I rate Langdon very highly. If all Australian actually go off wingers and not just midfielders who aren't good enough to be in the middle and they just put him on the wing, if they actually choose wingers, Langdon is 100% in the All Australian team. So I don't know. I just feel like O'Brien, it's another test for him, but I just really want him to try and do well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and it's also interesting of who the other winger will be for Melbourne. Because they've kind of switched and they've had Brayshaw and Salem, who I think both are fantastic footballers for them and obviously help them at going forward of the ball. But
also a James Jordan as well.
Yeah, they all chip in there. They all chip in there, and they kind of switch off half back as well, which I think Carlton can do when we are fit. Obviously having Boyds and stuff who could definitely go up on a wing. But Sammy, how do you reckon LOB will go against Langdon?
Yeah, Langdon, definitely got a good tank on him. It was good to see Lockie last week, as bad as it sounds, a bit of blood, a bit of going pretty hard after the Cripps incident as well. So it was good to see, a bit of cunt about him, but which is good to see. And yeah, it'd be an interesting matchup. I think Lockie's I think he's had a great year personally. I think this game here is one of them games when you're going up against, great side in Melbourne. Of course, your great players are going to stand up and play well. It's where you need all these sort of second tier, third tier sort of players to step up. I think that's what Melbourne do really well. And I think Richmond did it. I sort of mentioned them a few times. Like they did it really well during their premiership era, just having these sort of second and third tier players just step up like a Castagna or whoever and actually thrive. And I think Lockie O'Brien will be that sort of a player. And we have a lot of them sort of players where they're going to not be superstars, but I just think that they can do their job. And I think it'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree. And I think, I think the reason why we've, had pretty successful year, really the first half and most of the year, we've been much better than last year. It's due to us having those types of players, O'Briens, all these guys, Owies, different players just raising their game 5-10% better. Because Cripps and Walsh are going to come out and be guns, but those guys have to just get a little bit better. And if they get a little bit better, the whole team gets better. So I agree with both your points. We'll move down back. Yes, Sammy?
I do think as well, though, it is with them sort of players, it's actually knowing how to utilise them. Because they already had their strengths and we've got to know what they are and how they can fit into that structure, which I think sort of, we'll get into the structure and how we've actually been shaping up a bit later on as well. I want to get your opinion on if that's changed, but we'll do that a bit later on.
Yeah, agree. We'll go down back for us. It's interesting because Melbourne have kind of similar to their back half. They kind of mix and match, and they, obviously they've listed Brayshaw half forward when he's played half back and wing and middle, and they've just got so many utilities that are very good at all positions and can impact both behind and in front of the ball. For me, I'm just going to look at just the two keys. Obviously, Ben Brown on his day can be fantastic. If he's off, he can be fucking real off. And his opponent, most likely, it's probably going to be Wiedering. Really, it's probably going to be Wiedering, who I think's been a bit hit and miss the last few weeks. I thought if you look at his stat line against the Lions, it was okay. But as a back six, I thought we were probably our worst game against the Lions, conceding over 100 for the first time this year. How do you reckon a Wiedering can match up against Ben Brown, Pato?
I think he's going to absolutely dominate. Yes, this might be a larky moment, but seriously, I don't think Ben Brown's been that great this year. I think Fritsch has been very, very solid. I'm 100% more worried about Fritsch over than Ben Brown. Like, yes, he's had his time at a pretty average club in North Melbourne, and he's been solid at Melbourne, but he hasn't really dominated the forward line. So yeah, I mean, of course he's a solid player. I mean, he's an AFL player playing in. I mean, he's a key forward at the Premiers. So obviously he's been a solid player. But I'm a little bit worried more about Fritsch. I think maybe a Lewis Young will go to Fritsch, but I don't know because you have Marchie there as well.
Yeah, it could be a Marchie, could be a Gov, could be a Doc. Really, it could be any of those guys because Fritsch is that kind of. He's not tall, he's not short, but he's kind of that mid-range. It could be Gov. Could be Marchbank. I think it probably is a Marchbank just to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
So Gov can fly at the ball, but who's younger?
That's a thing. Because I reckon Young will go to like a Luke Jackson and Gorn when they go forward. But I think with McGovern, I don't really want him to have a lockdown opponent. I want him to be that intercept defender. So I think Marchbank is the perfect player to get to kind of go to Fritsch. But other than that, of course, you talk about Pickett, which I'm quite worried about. But other than that, I'm quite confident in the back line, which would be good.
Yeah, because I think that's their one kind of weakness, Melbourne. They haven't really been consistently hitting the scoreboard. But we'll move on to you, Sammy. Obviously, moving on to the key matchup in Wiedering and Brown. How do you reckon Wieders will go this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's definitely not his hardest test because I do Ben Brown really. My opinion is he's not the. If he's your best sort of mark up forward, then I think that is definitely the area they lack. You watch a lot more of Melbourne than I do, but I do like Cozzy Pickett, Fritsch as well, I like him. But Benny Brown, I don't know. He has like wasn't there a few weeks there where he just couldn't kick a fucking goal. Like he didn't start very well though. His like first two games he kicked I think 5 goals combined, but.
Yeah, like I said, if he's going, he's fucking going. Like he's obviously in the final series, I thought he was superb. Last year, I think he kicked a bag of goals in the grand final, kicked 3 or 4, and he's just that type of player. And obviously, Fritsch is that X factor up forward for them. But we can't let him off the leash.
Being an ex-Glenorchy boy, ex-Tassie boy, myself, obviously, I do like him, but I'm definitely more worried about probably Cozzy and Bailey Fritsch as well. Do you see when they sort of do go, if they do push up the ground, you're saying, talk about like these players that could potentially play on them. Do you see it being a one where potential different players could go to them, or how do you sort of see it unfolding, Heath?
Yeah, it's interesting because their forward line is so mix and match. Like their mids go forward. Obviously, Tracker's going to be going forward at some stage of the game. That's why they're so good because they've got so many different options and can swing. If someone's playing like shit, they can get off the ground and they can rotate and they can play back and they can play forward. They can play midfield. It's really frustrating for an opponent because if you're like before a game when you're watching opponent's vision. How fucking annoying would it be seeing, Brayshaw, let's watch his stuff off half back, and then he goes and plays half forward. like, what the hell? But no, they've got so many good role players. Neil Bullen doesn't get talked about enough for mine. He's very similar to Owies in a mop for us. Just does a lot of 1%ers. Obviously, does it at a higher level currently, but Charlie Spargo as well. He might have his 7 touches, might kick 2 goals, but he'll have 158 pressure acts. So we've just got to watch out for that. So it'll be tough, but we'll move back on to you, Sammy.
Yeah, well said, mate. I'm just talking about them sort of players that can play the different sort of a role. Then you've got players that do it so well, like you mentioned, and then you've got North doing it with Benny Mackay trying to play him in the forward line, thinking it's Harry, but doesn't sort of seem to work too well for them. But just on Harry, what is your opinion on him? I sort of touched on it briefly, and I would like to get your guys' opinion. Obviously, as we said, the inside 50 number as a whole hasn't been great, and the actual efficiency of it hasn't been great either. But as we said, Charlie's still been getting his goals. And I know they're slightly different players, but I don't know. It just seems like he's not clunking them big marks there. So what do you reckon?
Yeah, I love BH. Oh, I will always love this man. I just love the way he plays his footy, and us guys as Carlton supporters have been starved of a key forward, and now we've got two superstars up forward. We just can't take it for granted. I think he's copped. Me personally, I love him, and I just think he's struggled the last month. I thought he came back against Essendon very well, and he kicked 4 goals, and Richmond game kicked 4 goals. So you look at all that, and you go, Jesus Christ, his second half of the year hasn't been too bad against those sides. But just like you said before, I think it's his just lack of, just attack of the footy, and he just goes down a bit easy sometimes. But I don't know, maybe he could be carrying an injury still, and he might just have to be playing. I don't know. There's been a bit of talk about that, and but it's a big opportunity this Saturday night. He could shove that up every journalist's ass, and he kicks 6, and he kicks every single goal as a snap. But no, I really back him in against the main leader because he's height. He's one of the most hardest guys to defend because of his height and his pace. It's just as simple as that. He's just so different to Charlie as well. And Charlie's just Charlie. But Harry, huge game, kick a bag and shut everyone up.
That's what annoys me the most, though. Just the fact that he is that big body. He can run well through his frame, but he's getting there. If he gets there, he's marking the ball 9 times out of 10. But it just seems like he's still taking sort of half of the marks a game, but it just seems like he's doing all of that, and the marks just not being held. I don't know. Pato, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think he is a little bit injured. I think he's got something just on the lower sort of area, maybe like a calf or a hamstring. I'm not too sure, but obviously he's not forced to play, but obviously he's going through a test every week to get into the team. But I think with Mackay, I rate him so highly, but I think it's just his lack of urgency actually going for the footy. Because I know that we spoke about it a few weeks ago, when we were probably up and about, but we speak about how quick he is as a key forward. And he's a very, very quick player for his height. And as you said, Daff, I just think that with Charlie being how good he is with his attributes and adding Harry Mackay in there, they're so different, but that's why they gel so well together. And then I was actually speaking to a mate last week, I think, and then he's actually a Collingwood supporter, and then he's actually said that you've got two of the probably arguably the best key forwards in the comp play the same team, where they've got like a guy like Mychek who probably wouldn't even make it in our side. So we've got pretty much once in a maybe decade sort of key forward. And we've got 2 of them. So I think I just see the fairy tale sort of finish would just be Harry Mackay just maybe kicking 6 and then just getting ourselves into finals. That'd be so great to see. Coming up against probably the best defender in the AFL right now, Stephen May. I can't wait. I can't wait for Saturday night, even though coming off 2 losses.
And quickly, like Sammy said, just get into them better, because that Adelaide game, I could not be more frustrated at a football game in my life. Because when you're sitting there, when we're going to the away end, so going away from us down that end, you could literally see, I think it was about probably half back, or that kind of wing range where you can get it in. And we're just choosing to just go one extra wide, or it's just the ball.
Get it in, Duffy boy. Get it in.
If they're in a 1v1, kick it to them. For fuck's sake.
Spot on.
If they lose obviously May and Leave are going to win some. Get it in.
Get it in.
No more long shit, cut angles, lead on a 45. Seriously, why not?
Leads me to my next question. Do you think our structure of the first sort of, 8 to 10 games, or 8 and 2, so we'll say first 10 games, or at least pre-buy, has changed, or it's not been followed as much post-bye? Because I was doing a bit of reading. I can't remember exactly what it said, but a lot of people are thinking that we've gone away from that, or do you think maybe teams have worked that out more, or I don't know. How do you see it, Pato?
I think I disagree a little. I think teams have kind of found us out, especially after the bye. I think it's kind of more like, obviously our clearance work is very, very strong. It's been probably our bread and butter for the whole year. And teams have probably found us out a little bit in that sense. I think small things have changed a little in the structure. Of course I have. I feel like all teams have to adjust and adapt to different sorts of structures throughout the year. But I don't know. I just feel like we haven't really been playing as bad structure-wise. It's just, I don't know. I feel like, as I said, I just think it's just a little bit of urgency, just losing a little bit. Just players not working hard enough, players not going for that 1% when they really need to. But of course, on the weekend, we saw Paddy Cripps go for a 1%er and he, of course, got reported. So I think other than that, I think it's a little bit different. I think teams have kind of found us out a little. And I just think we have to adjust just a little to make sure hopefully we can try and get to finals.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely got to adjust, certainly more so, I guess, with the amount of injuries that we've had. But Ethan, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, well, I just think the system of footy we've been playing has just been lacking the last month and a half. Even when we got a few wins over, obviously the Giants and West Coast, there was just times where we just didn't use the ball well enough. And they always say system holds up, and it has held up most of the year, especially with injuries and games like Freo and etc. I just don't think we've got the confidence and dare we had with ball in hand that we had in the most of the year. Going forward, it's very, very slow, and down the line, you might go, just go down the line. It doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. It never works because it was similar to last year and most years, especially Teague era. Our attacking brand of footy was horrendous. Like it was just down the line, predictable. Early in the year, we're just doing, cutting angles. You got Sard and Dougherty pinpointing blokes. If you miss it, you miss it. But you just got to try it. You just got to keep going, cutting angles, run and spread. There hasn't been much of that, has it? Handball receives, handballing off to a Sard. He goes, launches inside 50. But yeah, we've just been lacking. And like Pato said, we've been not I guess, found out, but we just haven't, I don't know, we've just been lacking something. Lacking an edge, I think.
Yeah. How good is it to see with like a player, like say an exciting player, like a Sard, streaming sort of forward or up a wing or whatever, and you go, you go, oh fuck, watch him bomb it in here and turn it over and go back over our head. But he's looking full steam ahead and just a poise to go on the outside of the foot and just find someone like darted across the eyes, like whether it's through the center or wherever it is, like just when we think they're going to go full steam ahead and actually slow it down and chip it to someone else. It's very exciting to see because, as you said, we would have just bombed that in and it would have left to no avail before. But we've definitely improved. Obviously, I mean that's an obvious. But yeah, all right. We'll also you're right, mate.
Yeah, man, I'm all good.
All right. We'll get stuck into under the pump. Pato, who have you got under the pump this week, mate?
Yeah, mine is, of course, Harry Mackay. I know, I'm not too sure what you boys have, but I've got Harry Mackay. I rate this guy so highly, man. I'm so excited that we've got him at the club. And obviously he's been through a little bit of a wouldn't say drop in form, just I feel like he's just been outbeaten a lot of the times by solid defenders. Like he's getting the best defender arguably every week. They could easily go to Charlie Curnow, but they choose to go to Harry Mackay because everyone knows that he's still very much a threat. So I just can't wait for Saturday night. Because seriously, if he gets that first goal, it's gonna be goosebumps because he's gonna get the Blue Baggers up and about. In front of 95,000, I'll put it up to 10,000. I'll put it up to 10,000 more. The Blue Baggers are going to show up. I'm very excited. Under the pump, Harry Mackay.
Beautiful, mate. So you'll be there, I assume? to watch.
Yeah, mate, of course.
AFLW, you'll be there 4:40 to watch obviously the girls, and then the boys are on straight after. So we'll see you there. Ethan, under the pump, mate.
Yeah, I agree with Pato, with Harry, but I've got someone different. And for me, it doesn't get talked about enough, and that's Sam Dougherty. He's under the pump for mine. He's massively under the pump because, obviously had a great first half of the year, but I think it's, just supporters being a bit, trying to avoid having a go at him just due to what's happened with him and his past. And we 100% love him. I have nothing against him. He's done great to get back to footy, and he's just a great leader and a great, person in all of our lives, really. But for me, I just don't think he's been good enough. And, for a guy who gets a lot of the ball, he'll get a lot of the ball every week. There's no doubt about that. He's taking kick-outs. He's still taking his, marks here and there. But it's just, his kick-outs, I was saying it during the game the other day, like, it's just how many times do you want to do a short kick-out or not take the game on with your kick-out? Just too many times he does these 45-degree angle kicks that go about 15 metres, put pressure on ourselves. The opposition set up defensively. We can't get anywhere. We shit ourselves. One guy fucking shits the bed, switches the ball, and then a goal. How many times that happened? Well, not just him, but as a back six as a whole, but he's really got to step up. He's the guy taking the kick-outs. It's the easiest exit out of the D50, a kick-out. It really is. I'm not saying long bomb to fucking nothing. Just if you're going to go 45, hit the fucking thing and go. And we need some pace out of him, especially him and Sardi. Just more handball receives, because that's how we can break open Melbourne.
Coach Duffy.
Yeah, well, that was good. He does seem to play. I don't mind it. I won't say anyone because I sit on the fence, but I don't mind the Doc Cole because he does get a lot of the ball because he plays that spare sort of almost role and gets a lot of space. But if you look at them top sort of 2 or 3 main stats of disposals, obviously kicks, which is correlated, and a few other ones, it's always good. But if you actually look at the more in depth of the effectiveness, and sometimes even the meters gained hasn't been as good. Like a few different things there. I do agree. I'd have him under the pump as well. But we'll get into match predictions now. Pato, how much are the Blues winning by, mate?
I've got the Blue Baggers by 94 points. Harry McKay. No. Let's just keep it down here. So I initially had Zach Fisher first goal, but I've got to change it late. I feel like it's kind of like a late tip at about 7:48 on Friday night. Just changing the tip at the last minute. You see the guys running out, be like, all right, I'm going to change my tip. I've gone Harry McKay first goal. Imagine that. Imagine the Blue Baggers get up and about when Harry McKay kicks it first, takes a specky on Stephen May. I reckon it will be Pidernet, tap down to Shearer, over to Walshy. Walshy kicks it in, McKay, bang, goal. Now, speaking of Shearer, I reckon I've gone also Shearer best on ground. I know that he's been a little bit under the pump. He arguably should be one of the players that should be under the pump. And I've gone Adam Shearer. Well, I love this guy, man. I reckon he's probably my favourite player at Carlton, and I'm just such a fan of him. And I think I can't wait to see him playing against the past premiers, like MCG in front of 100,000. It's gone up another 5K, boys. It's gone up to 100,000 at the G. But I can't wait to see Shearer absolutely dominate, hopefully. And I've gone the Blue Baggers by 9 points. Come on, the Baggers. Let's lock us in.
He's pumped up for a team that's lost 2 in a row. Pato, I love to see the passion, mate. I'm going to seem like a bit of a dickhead in 24 hours when this actually goes, or however long when this gets out. So I'm going to put Cripper for first goal. And best on ground is Pito. He's just going to clean up. He's going to just anyone that gets in his way, he's going to clean them up. There's Gorn, Jackson, whoever it is. They're going down. Blues by 8 points. And, it's going to be an absolute blockbuster with, I think it was 100,000 we settled on at the G. Ethan?
Yep. So I've actually got an attendance tip for Carlton, Melbourne. I've kind of followed Pato and I've gone 110,000 to the MCG.
How many does it hold? 114 or something?
It's not as much anymore.
It'll be 105 or something, I reckon, under that. But I've got Sauce First goal, Sosa just snaps one and he lets fucking Petty know. He lets Petty know. Yeah, here you go, mate. And best on ground, I'm such a Carlton supporter. I've got Paddy Cripps, even though he's still suspended. Hopefully, I'll have a backup best on ground. That's Adam Shearer. I think he'll have a big one. But tip Carlton by a point. And the 115,000 MCG Raw as one.
115,000. Shit. They're going to be lining out the front, Dave. They're going to be lining out the front. Why don't you try to get in?
Also, mate, my first goal, if it's not Cripper, if he doesn't get in there, then I will go Dirts. All right, boys. VFL preview, of course, playing Casey Fields on Sunday. Casey Fields playing against the ground. We're playing at Casey Fields against Casey Sunday, 12 p.m. Boys, you'll be there. Of course, and of course, the next week, it's going to be amazing. You will have to watch the VFL. You boys are going to watch your first VFL game of the fucking year because it's going to be the curtain raiser to the seniors.
What do you mean? We've been to every single game.
I know. Well, you're going to see your 20th or whatever because it's going to be the curtain raiser to the seniors game, I believe.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Fact check that, but Ethan would know. He's all over everything. 11:45 a.m., so quite early on Sunday. But prior to the Collingwood game, that'd be good to see us beat the Scum twice in a couple of hours.
Can't wait.
All right, boy. It's going to be great. All right, did you know the sad part? We're wrapping this up at 20 past 10 at night, and we've literally the latest update on the Cripper thing is Carlton FC tweeted admins FPL, which assumes Fantasy Premier League, is it? I don't know. Team is looking set, to be honest. So, yeah, going well. Unless that's some sort of court jargon that I don't actually understand. But
definitely not court jargon.
Yeah, it's going for a long bloody time. And I've watched Blue Broad's thing, except for now that we're filming, both nights in its entirety. So it's been extensive, but hopefully, by the time this goes out, we should have a result. Hopefully. But hello, mate. We might as well wrap it up with it now, as always.
And as always, boys, up the baggers!